The big week's here, the Fed's meeting. We're going to talk about it on Today in Mortgages. Hey, what's up, dreammakers? Welcome back to the show. We're talking about what's real, what's hyping, what you should actually be paying attention to out there in the world of mortgage and real estate news. It's Today in Mortgage. Rich, I feel like Super Bowl's coming up or Christmas is coming early. How are you doing?
Big day tomorrow.
Big day tomorrow.
Maybe we get our first cut, Michael.
First cut since 2020. So, Rich, the Fed's meeting right now. Will we expect an announcement today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about this in the context of where we're at in the market with mortgages, because that's what interest rates with the Fed affect most directly. So we're going to talk about a bunch of these things, but kind of as a companion piece. We found an article in Market Watch, the title of which is "The Fed is about to cut interest rates. Here's how to decide when to refinance your mortgage." So Rich, that's what I want to talk about today, because obviously the big hope is that as interest rates come down, that refi business will come back into the mortgage industry. We've seen a little bit of that in the uptick recently. Tell us where we're at and kind of what you expect in the immediate aftermath of this cut.
Well, listen, there are hundreds of thousands of mortgages out there that have a rate above 8%. That when they got it at the high point in 2023, and we're starting to see many of those refinance right now because the rates have come down. Generally, it's different for every single borrower, which is why it's so important to work with a trusted mortgage advisor, because they're going to step you through your return on investment. If any company tells you we're going to refinance you with no fees, that should be suspicious notification number one, because it's just going to be built into the rate. The best way to do it is find out which interest rate at par doesn't cost you any and you don't receive any credit. That will be the best interest rate available for you today without paying for the interest rate. There will be closing costs. So generally you look at it, and if it's 0.75% or above, that's probably a good opportunity for you to refinance. So you also need to take your closing costs into consideration. So say, you've got closing costs of $2,000. Well, you want to get your return on investment within 2 years, 2 to 3 years, depending on how long you're going to spend in the home. So you would just take your closing cost divided by that much, 2,000, by 24 months or 36 months. If that is less than what your payment savings are, move on it. It's a good deal for you. But Michael, really what I'm most excited about is just the news coverage. Instead of rates are rising, inflation is rising, all this nonsense, when the Fed makes its first cut, the cycle changes. And it talks about how much are we going to see coming down. Interest rates are reducing. I'm going to move on a new purchase when I hear about interest rates coming down, not when they're still climbing. So that's what I'm mostly excited about. But here we go.
That's good. That's good. Well, that's good advice on where to look at. And so this article kind of outlines that it says roughly 2.5 million borrowers were in the money, which is a position to save considerably if they refinance their mortgage. And about 900,000 were considered to be highly qualified, meaning they had at least 20% equity in their homes, and they were going to be able to save that 75 basis points or 0.75%, like you mentioned. But Rich, one of the things we're looking at here is just because rates are going to drop, have been dropping, and you might be qualified, might be one of those 900,000, is it the right time, or is there better opportunity if you wait? Like what's timing the market on this look like for people, and should they be doing that?
Well, like we have said on this show many times, Michael, rates go up a lot faster than they come down. And that's best for the economy that they come down a little bit slower, because if the interest rates drop, then likely inflation rises. That's not what we need. So, you really just need to trust a mortgage advisor that you have a good relationship and rapport with, that's going to tell you, this isn't a great time to refinance. Maybe we're going to see interest rates come down in the next 3 months, a little bit more, adding to your payment savings. But there are a lot of buyers out there that are in the 8% range, and they can refinance today where rates are today and save hundreds of dollars on their payments. That is worth it. But you don't know it until you talk to that person. So I would recommend you go back to whoever helped you with your purchase mortgage and have the conversation. Likely, I know if it's a network funding loan officer, they've been calling you and letting you know they're looking out for you. I would return their call. Right now is a good time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. And what we're talking about, kind of next steps for that, is just understanding as a borrower when that right time is, what your current rate is, what your trajectory is, what the market trajectory is. And again, no one can time the market perfectly, but understanding maybe where trends are heading can help you best capitalize on, the changing rate scenario right now. And so, Rich, as we look at this, like you said, as loan officers out there, how should our audience be talking to their people, their customers during this time?
They should be consulting with them. They should be asking them what would make sense to you if you could save $300 a month. What does that make sense for you, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client? And those are the questions. That's the dialogue that needs to be happening. Like, where does it make sense for you? Like, if you went to your employer one morning and they came to you and say, we're going to give you a $300 raise a month, would you say no?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So of course you're going to say yes. Then you take it to the next step and say, okay, but what is that 300 going to cost me? And then you do the return on investment analysis with your loan officer. And if it makes sense, move, because you can still refinance in 12 months again, should rates be lower at that point. I would, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? So if it makes sense for you, move forward. If it doesn't quite make sense, hey, shake hands with your loan officer and say, follow up with me in 6 months.
Well, we're excited for the news tomorrow. And before I ask one final question, Rich, I just want to remind everyone that we get insights like this every day from Rich and other thought leaders inside the network. So if you're interested in learning how you can be a part of the best network in mortgages, click the Grow link below and we'll get you all the information you need to know about that. Hey, Rich, final question. There has been some speculation. I think I saw that the likelihood is over 50% now that some people are thinking we might get a 50 basis points cut instead of a 25 basis points tomorrow. What's your read on that?
I don't know. This morning it was 67% if you're
Pretty
watching
high.
real time. And the market, we had retail sales come a little bit higher than expected, which has kind of tamped that down a little bit. But the last I looked, which was about 15 minutes ago, was still 62% chance of a 50 basis point cut. And that would be great. That'd be a welcome surprise.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And we will probably talk about this on Thursday with our next episode. So stay tuned for that. We'll be giving you all the insights that we have on what the Fed announces tomorrow. So thanks so much for watching, listening, wherever you guys are. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time on Today in Mortgages. Today Mortgages is produced by Network Funding LP, which is an equal housing lender, NMLS 2297. The content of this program is meant to be a commentary on mortgage and real estate news, and any discussion of rates and/or products should not be taken as an individual mortgage or home buying advice or pricing estimates. And any commentary on this show should not be considered a promise to make a loan. All applicants for a loan must qualify, and you should consult a professional regarding your individual loan scenarios for your financial situation. Visit our website at nflp.com/licenses for all state licensing and other legal information.